know it's a bad line, right? If you wait, I've noticed a lot of movement. And speaking of which, so Canada, and listen, Pat, I'm not going to, I love putting in the research, bro. I love watching these events. I just love it all. But so Canada won the judo, women's judo. It would come as a surprise to people, but Canada, the kings of the hammer throw, Pat.
You're entering the Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by Underdog Fantasy. Code Mayo. Underdog Fantasy right now. Get you a deposit bonus of up to $250, and there's plenty of especially Olympic basketball. You can play the higher and lower for. I guess if you go lower on Jason Tatum every single time and he doesn't play, all of a sudden you're doing pretty well on that front. Gabe wasn't able to make it last week, but he is here in full force. So at Sports Rage on X, you can catch him 18 hours a day over at Sports Grid. Mr. Morency, thanks for being on the show.
Hey, great to see you, Pat. My apologies for last week. I feel like I'm on a sports bender. I'm sleeping less than a raver and a cokehead due to these Olympics, man. I've got the Olympic spirit in my veins, Pat. Let's do this thing. And we just nailed the judo 57 kilogram women's winner, and we gave it to everybody. We posted it last night. We posted it last week for everybody on Twitter X. I talked a lot about her. Krista Deguchi becomes the first ever Canadian gold medalist in judo. Super impressive. Canada's on the board with a gold medal, and we gave it to everybody.
Do you think that she had drone footage of her opponents that allowed her to win the gold medal?
I'm assuming, since she's Canadian, that she cheated, Pat, because we're big cheaters, right? From the Canadian soccer team to Ben Johnson. And I saw people talking about this is the biggest scandal since Ben Johnson. I'm thinking, listen, the 100 meters, a little bit bigger of a deal, bro. Like Ben Johnson and Carl Lewis, then filming a Honduras practice in 2016. I hope Rick Westhead's happy. And Rick Westhead, who broke the story from TSN, he's done some good work, Pat. The guy's, he's a 60 Minutes wannabe. He's an investigative journalist, and I don't have a problem with it when you're uncovering sexual abuse and other real scandals. But when you want to come out a team that they flew a freaking drone 4 years ago, Pat, before a practice in another tournament, what are we doing here besides trying to take them down? Good job. It worked. And I couldn't help but think either, Priestman's done. All right. So Ben Priestman is going to be done when it's all said and done. Yeah, Bill Belichick's going to be going into the Hall of Fame. Jim Harbaugh, coach of the Michigan Wolverines, last year in college football, guys, there was a little bit of a scandal in which Michigan were sending advanced scouts to different stadiums and basically just watching the sidelines and the signs, which is, okay, what's wrong with that, right? If you're doing the signs in public, you're allowed. Well, you're not allowed to film it. We're in an era right now, guys. The old, if you're not cheating, you're not trying in sports is true. And I do believe in ethics. But at the same point in time, Pat, I'll admit I cried about Belichick and the Patriots at the time because I was a Bills fan, bro. And it's like the Boston Red Sox, Pat, years ago when the Apple iWatches came out. They got caught right away. They realized, you know what? We can communicate with each other with these watches on the field. And they gave every player an Apple iWatch. And the league had to come in and say, guys, you can't be like sending messages to each other on the field with these iWatches. It's technology, Pat, and it's ever, it's always evolving. Now we have drones. My last thing about this, though, if you're Team Canada, I'm not defending them. But at the same point in time, I'm going to call them out in the sense, it's one thing to do this stuff, Pat, in competition. You're at the Olympics, bro. If there's ever a time to sort of drop, you know what I mean? It's ever like, yeah, listen, let's not fly the drone at the Olympics, though, right? It's the Olympics. It'll be a big scandal if we get caught. No one will care if we get caught against Honduras in a regular game. You do this. There's a no-fly zone, Pat, in the Olympics. Not to mention, for the French in Europe, they're bigger on privacy than we are. It's illegal to fly a drone there. So you basically broke the law. You didn't think, oh, God, they're going to notice a drone in a no-fly zone. You did it twice. They deserved to be called out for it, but the -6 points was ridiculous. And so what happened to the Patriots when we all called them out? They freaking won. What happened to Michigan when we called them out? They won. They said, all right, you think we only win because of this? We don't have this now. And then they kicked everyone's ass and they won the championship. Look at yesterday, Pat. That wasn't easy, man. France are one of the favorites to win the women's soccer. Come back and win. How do we not bet on these girls against Colombia, bro? They've got a chip on their shoulder.
So they were docked 6 points, in the group stage. So they could, if they go 3-0 in their group, they can theoretically get through, right?
That's right. They need to beat Colombia, and they can actually advance despite being ripped of 6 of a possible 9 points, Pat. It would be an unbelievable story. And in fact, it's funny how the world changes and loves these stories. Last week, it was like either people didn't care. People, for the record, people in the soccer world don't even care. Like, they were interviewing Drogba was, all the stars are in France, the soccer players. And they were like, come on. They were like, drone? And he goes, I kind of assume that stuff happens anyways. Like, nobody was put off by this, but Canada got called out. But now, Pat, even people are like, I'm pulling for these girls. They didn't have anything to do with it. They don't make coaching decisions. You rip their Olympic dream away from them. They're defending gold medal champions, and now they're 2-0, bro. Hard not to want to pull for these girls now.
What are their odds to win the gold medal?
I'll get you the updated odds to win the gold medal. They came in at 20-1. So now, and I'll tell you what, before the tournament, it was 20-1. There was obviously, written off. I'll get you the updated odds here right now. I'll be honest with you. I didn't think there was a hope in hell they were going to get out of the group, Pat. Right. You're minus 6 points, and you got to play France, in France, who are one of the favorites. USA were favorites, Spain were the second choice, and France were the third choice, like plus 500. So they're actually really good. Like, France could win this tournament. Canada just beat them. But let's give credit to Canada. They are the defending gold medal champions.
I don't pay enough attention to women's soccer to really have much of an opinion on it, but I like this. Everyone has now written us off, the cheaters, everything like that. But now that they're winning, people are rallying around them. That's an amazing story.
People love winners, Pat. It's the way it is, right? You showed them. You stuck it to them. They tried to bring you down. It's the sports story. It just is. It just is what it is. I'll give credit to our boy Patterson, hustler in Winnipeg, who termed it Pevlicek for Ben Priestman instead of Belichick. It was pretty good. But there's always something. The last thing about the Canadian soccer program, too, Pat, every time there's goodwill, something happens. Remember last time around, everyone was all fired up for the men's before the World Cup. And it was like, you know what? We don't even know if we're going to play. You guys don't pay us. We're using, like, you take our jerseys. Like, they literally took, like, tracksuits away. Yeah, we're going to need them for later, guys. Like, the big leagues of Canada, it was like, it was like a dictatorship. A couple of dudes were, like, rolling around, staying at the Ritz-Carlton and hoarding all the money and living the fat cat executive life. And the team was broke. The players called it out. They restructured it. And there's just always an issue, man, with Canadian soccer behind the scenes when there really shouldn't be. And even now, the government's withholding all funding, Pat, moving forward. Which, like, really? Like, how about let's defend them instead of right away jumping on them? All right? Just say, listen, get rid of the people that were in charge of this, but we're not defunding the soccer program. We have the effing World Cup coming up in a year and a half in Canada. So, hey, it is what it is. What a shock. The government screwed up again. It
sounds like Soccer Canada is run very much like the old company that we used to work for.
Yeah, you know what? I think our company, the old company, had better intentions than Soccer Canada.
All right, so what have you enjoyed so far? Because we're now, and it's Tuesday morning. We still have a ton of Olympics to go. Jeff and I covered the golf, what we're going to be doing for that. But what's really stuck out to you so far? Like, do you think that these have been an impressive Olympics so far? Because I think we all kind of tune in once every 4 years, I guess 3 years now, because it was 5 years between Rio and Japan, now 3 years in between this. But many people have said, not to quote Trump, many people are saying that this feels like a more Olympics from 30 years ago, at least in the presentation.
It does have it's a good way of putting it. Listen, I thought the opening ceremonies were spectacular. I know there were some controversies along the way, but they just dialed it up to a next level. I mean, LA, you're on the clock right now in 2028. I mean, having the opening ceremony on the streets and the River Seine was just super impressive. You know, Pat, like I said, what are you going to do, bro? How do you top that where 1 minute they're at the Eiffel Tower and the next thing you know, you've got like Lady Gaga playing in front of the Louvre? You know, they don't have that in Inglewood, California, Pat. I've been there, bro. You're going to do it outside of Tico's Liquor Shop on Pico. Hey, welcome to the Olympic Games, everybody. Welcome to East LA. Let's rock. But one thing I've noticed, Pat, about these games, it has a very intense feel to it. Sort of un-Olympic-like in a way. In a sense that the Olympics are supposed to be, we cheer for everybody. It's not like that. This is almost like, it's like politics in the world, Pat. It's hyper partisan. You know what I'm saying? Let's boo the other country. Let's cheer our guys. Good and evil. It's very sort of intense. That's one thing I found about this. Look at, Joel Embiid's getting heckled on the streets, right? Like there's a ton of pressure on the French teams. There's just, it seems like it's like more of a intense sports competition than remember when we were kids, the Coca-Cola ads, let's all come together with a white polar bear and have a Coke and watch sports. Now it's like, no, F you, we're here to win. And it has a sort of like edge to it. We're just getting going right now. One thing that they did this year, guys, that they never did before is they started with a bang, Pat, on Saturday, if you noticed. Like there were a lot of gold medals at big-time events, like the women's swimming, Summer McIntosh, and Katie Ledecky and Ariana Titmus. Like Saturday started like intensely right away, bam. And it's sort of like, whoa, now we're sort of easing into it again. The track and field really hasn't started. Swimming does so well on television now, guys. It's a very popular Olympic sport now. They wanted to get it more coverage and more prime time coverage. So they said, you know what? Let's put a bunch of big time swimming events in the first weekend and come out, literally cannonball style. And then we'll ease into the track. So we really haven't even gotten into the track and field yet, Pat. I got some picks for you on the track, too.
Well, let's jump to track and field then. What's the big story for track and field? Because admittedly, like I said, I don't really pay attention to any of this stuff. These are sports that I don't really care about unless the Olympics are on. And even then, unless I'm by my TV at the time, I'm not going out of my way to watch them. But if I had some money on it, then maybe that's a bit of a different story. It seems like the 100, obviously the 100 meter is the crown jewel of the Olympics in terms of what everyone wants to watch, but it doesn't feel like there's a superstar unless I'm just completely missing it.
No, you're bang on, actually, Pat. You're right about that. Like the 100 meter has always been let's be real, it's the glamour event. It's sort of like, the fastest man in the world. You're one of the most famous men in the world. It's just that status, prestige event. And let's look over the years. I threw out Ben Johnson's name earlier, but there's been some like great runners over the years from Ben Johnson, albeit, controversial, from, Donovan Bailey, who was just an absolute legend, Michael Johnson, Carl Lewis, Usain Bolt. We could go on, right? There's always been, Pat, like you said, some sort of star and or rivalry where we've had a couple of guys was like, whoa, man, we're going to see these guys going head to head, and we rarely see it. This year, we don't really have that. It's sort of in transition right now. We'll start off with the men. The men is sort of wide open. We have Noah Lyles, who's a veteran, Pat. He's been around for another Olympic cycle here. If you'll recall, he's the player that called out the NBA. He said, world champions, my ass. You're NBA champions. I love that. And I agree with him, too. And it was a big scandal, Noah Lyles. Noah Lyles is awesome. So he's running in the 100 meter and the 200 meter. But the thing is, he's going to win the 200 meter, Lyles. I don't think he wins the 100 meter, Pat. And I'll tell you what, there's this kid that's sort of come out of nowhere. Jamaica, obviously Jamaica is they are it when it comes to track and field. What's amazing, Pat? Get this. Jamaica have 70 athletes in the Olympics. 66 of them are in track.
Well, I was telling that you before the show that like I'm in Nova Scotia, and there's a weird amount of Nova Scotians in the Olympics representing Canada, but they all basically do the exact same thing. They're rowers, they're swimmers, they're kayakers, canoeists, whatever it might be. Anything aquatics based, that's because we have the lakes and we have the ocean. So anything of one of those two sports, we're going to be really great at. I think we have like one gymnast, and like that's it for the entire collection of people from here.
You got to work with the tapestry that you have, and you got the tapestry that you have in Atlantic Canada is the outdoors. But so for the 100 meters, the men, so Noah Lyles, he's the second favorite to win the 100 meters. There's a couple of Jamaican dudes. but it wasn't like Jamaica's best group that they had. And then boom, this 22-year-old kid, Keishane Thompson, has sort of come out of nowhere. Like he wasn't, like, you know, put it this way, Pat, like he wasn't known as like the next great one. You know what I'm saying? Wasn't like, oh yeah, Keishane Thompson, Jamaican kid. He's 17, but watch out for him when he's a little older. No, it was sort of like, yeah, he was around, but boom. So he ran a 9.77, which is actually the fastest 100-meter men's time that anybody's run in the world since 2022. He comes in here getting about plus 115, plus 120. Then there's a big drop-off to Lyles after. But it's sort of like that debate. Like, you know, some people, Pat, would say, well, you know, plus 115, that's not great for a 100-meter race. It's sort of like golf. When people will, like, leave a winner on the table, well, I don't really want it because it's only plus 800 or something. It's like, well, you know what? He's going to win, right? Like Thompson, he's younger, he's faster, he's peaking at the right time. It's all about peaking at the right time when it comes to track, you know, your biorhythms. He's peaking at the right time. So I bet Keishane Thompson to win the men's 100-meter Jamaica. You get him about plus 115, plus 120. And the women's, I got my bet in about 2 weeks ago, Pat, and you saw me posting pre-Olympic bets. Sha'Carri Richardson, if you recall, Sha'Carri Richardson's like the fastest woman in America. She has been. She was in the last Olympic cycle, but God forbid she smoked weed.
Well, what a cheater! What a cheater!
Yeah, she got disqualified for smoking weed. They took her Olympic dream away. And let me just say something to backtrack about this. So they took her Olympic dream away because she smoked weed. Fine, all right, whatever. Canada loses 6 points. There's a beach volleyball player that on Netherlands that literally went to jail for having sex with a 12-year-old. All right?
What?
Yeah. I'm dead serious. Point blank. Look it up. He was 19 at the time. He went to jail. He did his time. He's in the Olympics participating. He's doing well for the Netherlands men's beach volleyball. So
there it is.
From a bunch of women. Like, you want to talk about sexism, Pat, in the world and double standards, bro? Like, really? So you bump the girl for smoking weed. You take 6 points away from the women's soccer team. But a guy that raped a 12-year-old girl is about to win a gold medal in beach volleyball. Good stuff.
The headline from The Guardian is Dutch child rapist greeted with booze, and applause.
Like, you believe this? He's in the Olympics. Like, that, what are we doing? What are we doing here?
Steven Van de Velde, probably not related to Joan.
No, the Dutch said that there was nothing we could do about it. Which they, you know what I mean? They said, listen, we're not happy about it. They said he did his time. He's out and he qualified. What can we do? They said legally we couldn't block him from the team, really. I think you can, Pat. You can just tell him, listen, you had sex with a 12-year-old. You're not allowed on our team. Is it that hard?
How is he out of jail? This happened in 2016.
See, I know. I brought it up on another take, and someone was like, what the hell is this guy talking about? You see, like, people in Europe, Pat, are flipping. It's on the cover of everywhere. Like, it's a big story for people that follow the Olympics, that story. And you wouldn't expect that from the Netherlands, actually. They don't get caught cheating at the Olympics. They always really complain when other people cheat. They're very Olympic-like, Pat. Like, they love the Olympics, Holland. Like, they're really into it. And for them to, like, it was a real surprise, a real turnoff. Like, yeah, people are jeering at the, because in Europe, they don't boo, right? They whistle. That's their booing. So, and it's seriously, Pat, like, if you're going to the Olympics and let's say you're a woman, you're there with your kids and stuff, like, is this a guy you want to go and see? Like, he shouldn't be there. Let's just call it out for what it is. But I just want to bring that up as far as her not being allowed and Team Canada's women, what happened to them.
Well, hold on. What I don't understand is the Netherlands kept out their golfers, although their golfers qualified. So they were able to step in and do that. Like, Joost Luiten qualified for the Olympics. And they were like, no, you can't fucking go. You're not good enough. But they're letting this guy go?
See, now you're mad. See what I'm saying?
It's really bizarre. But I understand the argument that there's nothing they can do. I mean, if he was convicted, tried, served his time, and he got out, like, do you ban him for life from the sport? I mean, that would be the only thing that you could do. Like, what can?
No, but shouldn't there be a rule, Pat, that if you go to jail for having sex with a minor, you're not allowed in the Olympics? Should that be asking too much?
I don't think so. But if you don't actually have that rule written down, then how can you enforce it? Even though it's logical, everyone would agree with it. But if it's not there, what are you supposed to do?
And I said the same thing about, once again, I'm not defending the drone stuff, but where is it that you said you can't fly a drone, Pat? It's not in any rule book.
Yeah.
It's too new. You know what I mean? It's too new. Like, where is he saying there's no drones? You don't have that. You know, rewrite the rules and say you can't fly a drone. So I just want to throw that out there as far as that concerned. Not to get too negative, but like I said, it's a bombshell. Once you find out, you're like, what the? I know. But I like Keisha Thompson. And in the women, Sha'Carri Richardson's going to win as well. And here's another little thing. Well, I'll tell you, there's some sports books out there, Pat. They won't give you an odds boost on Sha'Carri Richardson to win, but they'll give you an odds boost on Noah Lyles to win. And they'll give you an odds boost on Noah Lyles and Sha'Carri Richardson to win together because they know Noah Lyles won't win. So I'm telling you what right now, guys. Thompson, the Jamaican kid, Keisha Thompson will win the men's 100 meters, and the woman will be Sha'Carri Richardson. The Jamaican women, they're better at the 200, and they're a little bit older, Pat, the Jamaican women that are running in 100 meters. It's sort of Richardson's to lose. The market agrees. I jumped in at $140, and it's like minus 167, 170, depending on your book. It's a different price. She's going to win, though.
I'm looking at DraftKings Sportsbook right now because I wanted to parlay them together. She's minus 250 to win.
Wow. Wow. See? That's why you got to pay attention to me, everybody. I posted this about 2 weeks ago, and it's funny because Beating the Book, who came on your show last week, was telling me, you can never lay that number. I said, you'll see. It'll be like minus 200 in a week. And I'm up to 250 right now.
Yeah.
That's the one thing, you know. You're a smart guy.
At Bet365, it's minus 167 still.
Yeah, numbers move, man, in these Olympics. People think you see, who's going to bet the women's hammer throw 2 weeks in advance? Well, somebody that wants to win money and knows about this, Will, and knows it's a bad line, right? If you wait, I've noticed a lot of movement. And speaking of which, so Canada, and listen, Pat, I'm not going to, I love putting in the research, bro. I love watching these events. I just love it all. But so Canada won the judo, women's judo. It would come as a surprise to people, but Canada, the kings of the hammer throw, Pat, which I'm pretty good at throwing a hammer myself, but I've never done it on a field. I've done it on TVs. I've smashed things with hammers, but Canada really good at the hammer throw. And in fact, Cameron Rogers is actually the favorite Canadian. She's expected to win the hammer throw. I bet on her. Very similar price. We just talked about these other numbers, minus 134 or so if you look it up. So women's hammer throw, listed under track and field, hammer throw, Cameron Rogers, Canadian. She is the world champion. She's won like 2 world championships, Pat, and 3 straight Pan American games. So she's been dominant. She hasn't won the gold medal yet. This is like her finishing, very similar to Deguchi. Deguchi came in here as like the reigning world champ, ranked #1 in the world. She never had a gold medal to finish off her resume. Boom, she gets it. Now it's Cameron Rogers' turn. She's going to win. If you look at the numbers, too, there's a big drop-off after her. Like, she'd basically have to have a terrible day not to win. Katzberg is also the men's favorite, believe it or not, Canadian, in the hammer throw. But he's like minus 250, minus 300 right now. You could parlay them together, the little Canadian hammer throw double gold, Pat, which would be sick. But I'm just in on Rogers, and I'm going to put Katzberg in some parlays.
So if you parlay together Richardson, Thompson, and Rogers, you get yourself up to plus 530 pretty quickly.
Not bad at all. I love those parlays. I put together a bunch of like crazy ones. I got like leading scorer on each men's basketball team parlay together. Because like you, Pat, I figured I'm not the biggest parlay guy, but I figured this. Number one, this is the Olympics. Let's have some fun with this. But I don't want to lay somebody's prices. Like if I'm going to bet it, I want to, say, all right, listen, I just got plus 400 back, I got plus 500 back, like you said. There's exceptions. Somebody told me something smart, Pat, in the business. It was an MMA odds maker. And he was talking about prices. And he goes, people will bet on losers because they like the price, and they'll leave winners on the table because they don't like the price. And he basically said, he goes, you got to bet, who you think is going to win. If the fighter's minus 225, the fighter's minus 225, lay the 225. You know what I mean? There's no sin in doing it. If the fighter you like is plus 250, then take the plus 250, Pat, right? I think a lot of times bettors will get conditioned by the number. Well, I liked it at that. I don't like it at this. I'm scared about that. I'm scared about this. just pull the trigger. So I don't have a lot of favorites. I don't want to get stupid and like minus 200 would have like 10 futures in the Olympics. But at the same point in time, I didn't mind laying a minus 143 with Deguchi, and she just won me a gold medal, Pat.
Passion, drive, patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Supercharger, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want. It's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. Everyone who tunes into the Pat Mayo Experience knows from time to time I like to talk to you about some health supplements that I end up taking, and I've been doing Timeline's MitoPure now for about a month. Feel great? And I think you can too. Take 2 soft gels a day for 2 months, and you can see significant improvements in your cellular energy, your muscle strength, and your endurance. That was the big thing. I've been golfing more this summer and lifting less. Yet when I go back to the gym for my once a week, like max lift, I am not really atrophying that much. I'm not losing a ton of muscle, which is absolutely fantastic news for me and my golf game, because if you work out too much, then you get too sore, you get too stiff, you need to retain that flexibility. I'm retaining my muscle mass at the same time, although I'm not working out as much, and it comes in 2 product designs to fit your needs. They're berry powder, which is great to mix into your breakfast, yogurt, or daily smoothie. That's how I've been doing it. I've been eating some strawberries, raspberries, blackberries with a little bit of yogurt, a little bit of protein powder, then boom, Timeline's MitoPure right on top of that. Or they have soft gels for the days where you're just on the run and wanted something convenient to grab and go. So, Timeline is offering 10% off your first order of MitoPure right now. So go to timeline.com/Mayo to get that 10% off. All right? What has been your favorite thing so far? That you pay the most attention to? Is it men's basketball?
No. You know what's funny, actually? The men's basketball, that's what, like, people that are sort of cheaters. It's easy to know about the men's basketball, Pat, because it's the other all-NBA players.
Yeah, that's all I know about.
Yeah, so I'm obviously into it, right? I'm super fired up and everything for it. I'm really pulling for Canada. Canada women are getting smoked by France, actually. So I'm really into it. But no, I like, what I really enjoy, Pat, water polo. A sport that, like, I've gotten into because of the Olympics over the years, water polo. It's great stuff. It's like handball, hockey, soccer, like, but in a pool. Like, there's serious contact, Pat, in water polo. Like, underneath the water, these guys are kicking each other, punching each other, trying to drown each other for a second when they go for the ball. It's really intense and physical stuff. So I've really enjoyed the water polo, and I'm looking forward to the track and field as well. And the women's swimming. It's sort of like we're in the golden years, so to speak, the glory days of women's swimming right now. Like Titmus from Australia, Pat, I swear to God, you think she had like a turbo booster on her back, bro? Like, it's like, no. Like, she's being propelled. No human can take off like this. It's like just mind-blowing. Summer McIntosh, 14 years old last time, only 17 years old. Look for her to win. Summer McIntosh, the woman Canadian swimmer, 17. She's going to win the 400 intermediate intermedley, 400 intermedley. But she's like minus 2,500, like not like minus 250. She's a minus 2,500 favorite to win. She's also going to win the 200 women's butterfly as well. So Canada, and I bet Canada over 5.5 gold medals, Pat. So I need every one of these. Deguchi really, really helped. It'd be awesome if both the hammer throwers can get gold. If just one of them does, okay, we'll take it. You know what? Here's another one, guys. Breakdancing, Pat's in the Olympics for the first time. I mean, I'm sure you've seen the ads on TV with the guy, Philip Kim, the wizard. This guy's one of the best in the world, like literally. He's a legend in the sport. There's him and the American are kind of like going head to head here in a showdown. But you're getting plus money with Philip Kim to win men's breakdancing. It's called breaking as far as the odds are concerned. And these guys can really go, Pat. You know what I mean? Some people roll their eyes at some of these new sports, but I embrace it. And you know what's going to be really cool? Look, you got PGA golfers playing the Olympics, which is cool. 2028, Pat, we have flag football. NFL players are going to be in the Olympics playing flag football.
Now, do you think that the NFL players will be in the Olympics? Because
Yes.
I'm of two minds of it. One, like, if I own an NFL team, is it worth me risking some of my highest paid, highest profile players? If they blow out a knee in the Olympics, we'll never see these guys again. Versus, I guess you could do it under the banner of, hey, if we put football in the Olympics, it'll grow the game because more of the world watches the Olympics and they would just randomly watch the NFL. But it's going to be in America anyway. I mean, look at the 3-on-3 in the basketball this time around. I think Jimmer Fredette's on one of the teams.
Yeah, they're favored. I'm not so sure. And just quickly on that, 3-on-3 women's basketball starts on Tuesday. Okay, 3-on-3 women's basketball. Canada are freaking good, Pat. All right. Like they're really good. Like they've won like a couple of big time world championships and massive events. The U.S. was supposed to be Cameron Brink and a couple other WNBA players. They sort of throw them together. The Canadian girls don't play in the WNBA, so they're slept on a little bit. But like they're specialty, Pat. You know what I'm saying? They don't play other basketball. All they do is 3-on-3. And there's two sisters on the team, on Team Canada. There's two sisters. It's sort of like in men's doubles tennis. There was two brothers that they didn't play singles.
The Bryans?
All they did was doubles, and they would win all the time.
Yeah, so
it's like these.
So we have we have like the Daniel Nestor of women's 3-on-3 basketball.
Yeah. So there's two sisters, and that's it. They're like, fuck everything else. We focus on 3-on-3, and they're really good. Like they can beat the U.S. team. They're the second choice. Canada like plus 250. The U.S. are like plus 125 or whatever the hell it is. But I'm going to bet it. It's not just, I don't do it. Like if I'm betting anything on the Olympics, guys, I'm betting on, I think it's because it's going to win. All right. So I do think the Canadian 3-on-3 women's team has a legitimate chance, Pat, of winning a gold medal. A couple other quick takes. Men's volleyball. Italy and Poland are on a collision course in the final. I took them both. Normally, I don't like taking a bet if I know the other one's going to lose. But I got Poland at plus 400. I got Italy at plus 550. I expect them to be on a collision course, and I'm going to have the winner either way, and then I could bet the actual gold medal match. And I'll ask you, because some people, like Brady Cannon's a great golf capper. We're lucky to have him on our show. And he was telling me he thinks it's just too much for Xander Schauffele to win the gold medal. For the year that he's had, that is too much of a whirlwind coming in here. And I don't think so. I mean, this is kind of the argument. We're not getting great odds, Pat. But, oh, yeah, by the way, he is the defending gold medal champion. He's always played well, Pat. You know this. Xander has always played well internationally before. Remember, it was before, oh, he's a choker. He can't win a major. Yeah, he won a gold medal. He does great in the Ryder Cups. Like, he's a good international tournament player, Pat. He's a good, different. Like, okay, we're out of our routine. He seems to handle it a lot better than a lot of people. And don't tell me he doesn't want to defend his medal. And what a way. Can you imagine if you win two majors and a gold medal in one season? It'll be one of the best golf seasons in the history of golf, Pat. I'm having a hard time not buying in that Xander's going to pull it off, bro.
So I'm only betting one golfer to win the gold medal. Normally, you know me. I'm in the very firm camp.
Yeah.
I'm in the very firm camp of what you talked about before of, you know, when Scheffler gets down to these odds, it's just like, nah, I can't do that. I mean, that's a bad price for a golfer to win a tournament, which it is statistically, but he just keeps winning. And I'm betting on Scotty to win. Like, this is a perfect Scotty course. He's won all of this type. This is no different, realistically, than every other signature event on the PGA Tour. It's 60 players. There's no cut, except the bottom 40 guys in this field are fucking terrible. It's like 12, it's like 5 really good guys, 10 pretty good guys, and a bunch of scrubs. Scotty has won 4 signature events already this year, and every course that you would comp to Le Golf National en Paris, be it Bay Hill, the Players' Championship, PGA National, Heritage, Travelers, Memorial because of the rough. Scotty won like 5 of those 6 tournaments this year.
And Scheffler not struggled, but obviously hasn't had the last month and a half or so that he would want. So no, so I'm fired up for this. It kind of is the fifth major, so to speak. And I kept coming back to Xander. John Rahm is a guy that you figure that would have a chip on his shoulder as well. I understand the Scheffler look. Can't wait to see how it plays out. And the Club Nacional is a definite beautiful, beautiful golf course. In fact, you would know they had the Ryder Cup here in 2018?
Yeah, and the course is going to be set up a little differently. They didn't do any graduated rough that year because Thomas Bjorn, who was captain of the European team, was like, fuck that. We just want 3.5-inch rough everywhere. There's no first cut because that's good for Team Europe and terrible for Team America. This is going to be set up more like the French Open is every year. I just think about distance control. I think about courses with a lot of water. Like those are all really good Scheffler type of courses. And you go back and look at all the guys who have won both, even performed well at the Ryder Cup that year and have won the French Open. They're all terrible putters. Like this is the ultimate tee to green type course. And even though Xander won the Open Championship, I think we forget that Scheffler was in like the third to last group. He has had like one really terrible hole, and that was the end of it. He came like fourth or something like that. But his tee to green game was still outshining everyone else's. Like the tee to green is still there. He just needs to not putt himself out of the tournament. He doesn't need to putt himself to win the tournament. Just don't putt yourself out of the tournament. I just think he runs away with it.
For the record, too, 2028 they announced it's going to be at Riviera.
Yeah, that's going to be great. And then it's in Australia the time after that, which is going to be awesome too.
So I said Riviera, the Olympics. So in other words, that'll be perfect. No fans allowed. Like they hate, hey Pat, they hate having people walk on their course there. Like they're very. No, we don't want. We don't want 50,000 fans coming here.
Riv is fine with the spectators. It's LA Country Club that doesn't let anyone on.
Oh, they're even worse.
Yeah.
They don't let members in at the LA Country Club. I remember talking about that. Like, you know what I mean? Like you said, the Riviera, you'll have actors and stuff playing there, right? But the LA Country Club, you could be like an actor and a Grammy winner and all that, but it's CEOs that play there. It's like, no, the owner of Universal plays here, not an actor from Universal. Like you said, it's the owner's course. I can't wait to see how it plays out with the golf and the crowd, Pat. Are we going to have sort of that? Like I said, look, they stormed the field, bro, on the first day here. They threw bottles in Argentina. And we've seen, like, the Ryder Cup atmospheres in Europe are pretty soccer-like, right? It's, they like to get under the American skin and go at them and stuff. I'm curious to see if that's what's going to play out here. My feeling is yes. I think they're going to, we'll see. There's either going to be no one there and it's going to be very polite and just sort of, all right, made for TV, or like I'm hoping, Pat, it's all out. We have a bunch of rowdy fans there.
I do have a bet for you if you do want to get in on golf, be it top 20, top 10, top 5, whatever it is, or even if you wanted to play the outright, like with the each way, because the each way would pay a little bit more if it is a top 5 than 25-1. But I like Shubhankar Sharma to come inside the top 10 of this tournament, and that's $850 right now.
What about Corey Connors? You buying into Corey Connors at all? Potentially podium top 3?
I could see it, but I don't know. I as I described to Jeff on the golf show, I don't see that big of a difference between Corey Connors and Abraham Answer. They're very similar players, except for sometimes Abe Answer can putt, which Corey Connors really doesn't do at all. I mean, sometimes he can putt, but he can't chip ever. And like they're accuracy-based players with really good irons, except every once in a while, Answer can get it going. He's like 3 times the odds, so I'd rather just bet him than bet Corey Connors.
Canadians, an interesting contingent coming in here. I like the Canadians this past weekend, pal. We were talking about it, but you got a quick turnaround. Listen, man. I think it's great that they have golf here. I used to be that the pros, the Olympics aren't about pros. But it's a new era right now, Pat. There's no gray area. Everyone's a pro now. Kids in college football. The Ohio State Buckeye football team has a payroll of $20 million. Who's not a pro? Like, there is no amateur stuff anymore. I mean, everyone on every pro circuit, whether even the skateboarders are millionaires now, right? So it is what it is. But I think it is good for the sport of golf, actually, to have this. And if I was a golfer, I would like nothing more than to get a chance to compete. And I think that some of the golfers were a little slow to it. You know, I mean, Dustin Johnson didn't care, but Dustin Johnson doesn't care about anything. Spieth, well, no, you know, I'm busy. And that was the first time around. Now you see these guys like really want to be part of the experience. And why wouldn't you be? You know what I mean? I mean, I get it. You're playing on the tour and stuff, but nobody cares. You know, I'm just being real. Like, people in the golf world care. You know what I mean? They care that monetarily it's good if you win, but you're not leaving any mark in the sports world, right? Like, nobody 30 years from now is going to look back and go, man, can you believe he won the Rocket Mortgage Open? Remember that weekend? Nobody cares, right? You win a golf tournament, move on. The majors last for eternity, but these gold medals will last for eternity as well. Right, we've only had 2 winners so far: Justin Rose and Xander Schauffele.
It feels a lot like the Tournament of Champions, but a really elevated version of that, where once you hit a certain peak and you've accomplished so much, because you have to qualify for it by playing good as it is, and then you get yourself in. Like, Wyndham Clark is in this tournament because, you know, he's had a really good 18 months. He's had a very bad last 4 months, but before that, you know, he had won 3 times. He won the U.S. Open. He gets a chance to compete for the gold medal. I don't know. I think from the outside looking in, it's really easy to say, like, yeah, of course, all these guys want to compete and play for a gold medal. But I think that we forget that all golfers just love money.
You know what's funny, actually? I was working with a girl named Taylor Mathis. And it was the day after Wyndham Clark won, the U.S. Open? Is that what he won? It was the U.S. Open last year?
Yeah.
Not this year? Yeah, so she comes on. She goes, you know what? She goes, I was watching a golf yesterday, and she goes, I think I know this guy. And she goes, yeah, I realized I went on a date with him. So she went on a date with Wyndham Clark, and I asked, so what was the date like? She goes, oh, this was like about 4 years ago. And she goes, he took me to a golf range. And she said the guy, she said they didn't hit it off and stuff. She said the guy, all he talked about was golf for like 3 hours of dinner and stuff. And told her about how he's going to be a big golf star and he's going to do this, he's going to do that in the golf world. And she never dated him again. It was a one-day thing. They never spoke to each other ever again. And I brought it up. I said, well, you know, he won about $3.8 million for winning that yesterday, right? But all kidding aside, you want to talk about a guy living for golf, Pat? I just thought it was a funny story that even on a date years ago, he brought a date to a golfing range and he just talked about golf the whole time, about how he was going to be a championship golfer and a pro golfer. And, well, things worked out pretty well for him, huh?
I would say so. I think he's sort of suffering from Victor Hovland syndrome right now, where Hovland won the $40 million for winning the FedEx Cup. He's just kind of shitty for 7 months. Same as Cam Smith. Cam Smith goes to live after winning the Open. I don't think he touched a golf club for 5 months. He's like, fuck it, I'm rich. I did it. I won.
Hovland has been the same. You know this, though. Sometimes Rory's a good example of that. I was talking about with a Cam. Remember Rory? I liked Rory at an event the other day, a couple of weeks ago. And Cam said, oh, he hasn't touched the club in 2 weeks, he said. And I said, good, fine, that's good. I think that's sometimes good, Pat. And you saw he played well after when he didn't touch the club for a couple of weeks. You know, I play the guitar, and I'm not comparing myself to virtuosos, but I saw Steve Vai talking about that. Right? Steve Vai, you know, the practice machine, the guy, you know, practices 14 hours a day every day and all that. But he says, he goes, once a year, he goes, I won't play maybe for like a month sometimes. Like, he goes, I'll take off like a couple of weeks, sort of clear the head out and sort of want to do it. You know what I mean? Sort of, you know, till I miss it. And he'll jump back in again. And I think it's good sometimes, Pat. You know what I mean? Like, we all work too hard in today's society. We don't sleep enough. You know, like John Wooden had a great line, the great UCLA coach, Pat. Don't confuse activity for achievement, right? Just get, you know, Conor McGregor, I'm not a big fan of, to be honest. I think he's a jerk, and I think he's overrated as a foot, but like, whatever. But with all that being stated, he's a smart guy, Conor. And he was asked, like, why, you know, what do you do different than these other fighters? And he didn't even hide it, Pat. And it's funny how no one listened to him. He said all these other fighters, and he goes, all fighters for the last 100 years all do the same thing. He goes, they all run, they all punch a bag, and they all train and spar. And he goes, they'll lose, and then they'll just do the same thing again after the fight. And then the next thing, well, we'll train again all over. And he goes, you're not really getting better. You're just repeating the same thing over and over again and hoping for a different result. And like they'll, like Connor was talking about, like, we're not going to do stupid things just to hit the bag for the sake of it. We'll spend time. All right, what's the best way to attack this guy? What's the best angle? Like, he was basically talking about using your mind a bit instead of just sort of running and, let's go run 5 miles. All right, fine. This doesn't mean you're going to win, Pat, right? So I always like that line. Don't confuse activity for achievement. But we tried, coach. We're working hard. Well, okay, we expect you to work hard, but you've got to find a way to be successful and not just work hard.
It's no different than I know that you and I are very similar when it comes to doing content. Like, I don't really take much time off and have shows every single day and try to do as much as possible. But I must say that I've started taking like a week here, a week there throughout the course of the year. And just I feel great when I come back. I feel like the shows are better rather than just constantly running it into the ground all the time.
Exactly. I just saw an interview with Sean McVay actually talking about this. They were saying, man, you look good, coach. You know what I mean? And, they're joking around. McVay's a funny, personable guy. And McVay point blank said, I used to think, he was talking about football coaches. He goes, in a football world, there's like a thought process that if you don't sleep at the office, at the stadium a couple of nights a week, you're not doing your job. That, you hear about, man, this coach puts 20 hours a day in, man. Like, he's up like 18 hours a day in the office putting the work in, these coaches. And McVay said, I used to do that. And he goes, I didn't even know what I was doing half the time. I was so tired. And he admitted it. He goes, what's the point if you're just all tired? And it was the same thing we're talking about. McVay goes, I go to bed earlier, I get up earlier, and I'm more refreshed. And he goes, let's go, let's get after it. All right. And he's all fired up. Sometimes less is more, right? Sometimes, and these are lessons going to be applied for everything, including betting, in which we do, right? Sometimes less is more. And it doesn't mean, don't take 20 bets. Just sort of the grind. I see people do it all the time, Pat. Every day they wake up and they just bet 12 games, 12, you know what I mean? Well, you like one game more, and like, it's just so you go up, you go down. A lot of people don't have a plan, Pat. I guess that's the best way of putting it, right? Whether you're betting, whether you're working, whatever the hell you're doing, have a plan and execute the plan.
Last thing, I did want to talk about basketball very briefly. The U.S. team is down to minus 700 to win. Canada's 9-1. France is 14. Germany's 16. Serbia lost to the U.S. They're at 20-1 now. Australia plays Canada tomorrow, I think, or today as people are watching this.
Big game, yeah.
Yeah, they're 25-1. That should probably determine the winner of their group. Is it just chatter to try to create some sort of narrative that anyone is going to beat the U.S., or are they actually susceptible?
No, I don't think they are actually, Pat. I think it's fun to talk about leading up to it, but once you actually see the team side by side, you realize just how deep the United States are. I think it's all matchups, and I think it's interesting, Pat. I think Canada is going to make it to the gold medal game, okay? I think Canada can beat everybody else in the tournament, but they can't beat the United States because Canada is just an NBA team, Pat. Like, point blank, right? They're just a bunch of NBA guys.
A small NBA team at that.
Smaller NBA team. And it's like, okay, yeah, you've got really good players on this team. SGA is one of the best players in the league. Murray's one of the best players in the league. But you've only got a couple of them, and you're playing another NBA team that's better and deeper than you are in the USA. So it's all matchups, Pat. So I think in the gold medal game, hypothetically, USA, Canada, I think it's a bad matchup for Canada just because it's all NBA versus NBA. It's like an all-star game, and they have more stars. But if it's another country, I think the other countries have a better chance, Pat, of knocking off the USA. An international country, like a Germany, or potentially a France. I would say a Serbia, but Serbia aren't that deep. They got Jokic and Bogdanovic, and they're really not. It's not the best Serbian team. But no, the U.S. is going to win. And, I know we all, people want to see the big, the Goliath go down. It's just too difficult, Pat. They just have too many good players. And the problem is, it's like Canada was a good example of this. Canada really good, but Lou Dort and Dylan Brooks, shocker, both got in foul trouble in the first game, like right away. So as good as we were, we had Trey Lyles on the fucking court the last 2 minutes of the game. Like, seriously. So it's like, well, what happened to all our depth? They fouled out. The U.S. doesn't have to worry about that. It's like, well, Embiid fouled out. Okay, well, we're going to replace Joel Embiid with Anthony Davis. Pat, the U.S. are so fucking deep. These guys, they just beat Serbia, rolled Serbia, and they didn't play Jason Tatum of all people.
And,
Jason Tatum.
Yeah, him and Halliburton just both sat on the bench chilling.
I wouldn't be too happy about this if I was Tatum or Halliburton. Like, specifically Tatum. And I get it. It's all for the good of the team and stuff. Dude, he's Jason Tatum. Guy just won an NBA championship. He's 27 years old, and you're not playing him? Like, really?
Who are you playing him? Who are you playing him over in this sort of context? Yeah, I get that he just won the championship as the best player, or 1A, as a part of a great team. Like, they have 3 of those guys on this team anyway, but with better players around. Like, Durant's still playing great. Like, you're not going to replace him with Durant.
No, but the thing is, everybody should play. Like,
I'm sorry. I didn't realize the Dream Team basketball was your 7-year-old's Little League team.
They're favored. They were winning by 30 and 25. There's and the thing is, too, this isn't like you're giving charity to someone. We're talking about Jason Tatum, right? And the whole thing is, there's no participation trophies here, and they're going to go into best players. But Kerr really doesn't see, the way he's handled this has been bad. All right? Like, the way he's handled it. You get Tatum in here for a couple of minutes, Pat, and it's a non-story. Nobody bitches. Nobody cares. Well, he played 6 minutes or whatnot. You don't play him at all. It's like, well, what's the point of me being here? And, it's kind of weird, like the Jaylen Brown, he was the MVP of the Eastern Conference Finals. He was the MVP of the NBA Finals. He's not on the team. Kerr's been playing favorites the whole time, bro. Halliburton had 19 points in 12 minutes the other night in one of the showcase games, and he didn't play the rest of the game. And Kerr said, well, he just wasn't fitting in for what I wanted to do. And whatever, man. Kerr wants Curry and KD and LeBron on the floor. He wants the old guys on the floor. He's married to the old guys. I thought it could be a problem, Pat, coming into this, actually, because he was married to the old guys. But they're just too good. And the old guys still aren't too old, man. And that's one last thing, too, about LeBron, who over the years, LeBron's annoyed me and whatever. Probably because I was a Raptor fan and he was a lot like Brady. He always ended our season. But with that being stated, what he's doing now really is incredible. Like, he's their best player. I mean, like, he saved their ass in the showcase games. They would have lost to South Sudan if not for LeBron. They would have lost to Germany if not for LeBron. Like, whenever the pressure's on close in these games, you can see they're all like, just give the ball to LeBron. They don't even want the ball, Pat. For a guy that's 40 years old, he's still amongst the best players in the National Basketball Association. Like, there's no denying it. I got to tip my cap to him. The level of basketball this guy plays at his age, very impressive, Pat. Super impressive.
Let's end with this. We'll do some quick picks in case people just want to fast forward to the end, and that's what they want to get. So it seems like you got Richardson to win the women's 100, minus 167. Yep. Cameron Rogers, minus 134 to win the hammer throw for the women.
Yep.
Thompson to win the 100-meter men's at plus 125. Philip Kim, a.k.a. Phil Wizard, to win breaking for the men at plus 240. And maybe a sprinkle on Canada women's 3-on-3 basketball, plus 350.
Yeah, exactly. Canada's women's 3-on-3 basketball team, worth a look. And follow me on one thing I'll say with the Olympics, it's kind of tricky. The events, like, once they're active, they pull the futures and they repost them and stuff. But I also have Poland and Italy in men's volleyball to face in the final. I've got the Swedish guys to win the men's beach volleyball. Helvig and Amen. Helvig and Amen, a team. So if you see them playing, you can still get in on this stuff. But follow me, everybody, on Twitter. Tune into my shows. But I'm always posting pics online.
There you go. At Sports Rage on X, if you want to go do that right now. Gabe, I don't think we've spoken since March Madness, so we should probably do something for football before it starts.
I'll be ready to go. Always a pleasure, my man.
All right, man. Thank you so much. Thank you all for watching. Smash the like while you're here. Sub to the audio podcast for the Pat Mayo experience and use code Mayo at Underdog Fantasy right now. Get yourself a deposit bonus of up to $250. That'll do it for me. I'm Pat Mayo, and I will see you next time.
Pat Mayo Experience! Experience!